Windows Server interview questions and answers. Explain what is Windows Server. Windows Server is a series of server operating system developed by Microsoft Corporation. Explain in Windows DNS Server what is primary, secondary and stub zone. In Windows DNS Server, primary zone, in this, the file is saved as normal text file with filename .dns. Secondary zone. It maintains a read-only copy of zone database on another DNS server. Also, it acts as a backup server to the primary server by providing fault tolerance and load balancing stub zone. It consists of a copy of name server and SOA records which is used for reducing the DNS search orders. Explain what does IntelliMirror do. IntelliMirror helps to reconcile desktop settings, applications and stored files for users, especially for those users who move between workstations or those who works offline in the case when a MSI file is not available. How you can install an app. To add the application using the software installer, Zap text file can be used rather than the Windows installer. Explain how you can set up remote installation procedure without giving access to user. To do that, you have to go to Jeponema User Configuration a Windows Settings a Remote Installation Services a Choice Options. What does it mean by tattooing the registry? Tattooing the registry means user can modify and view user preference that are not stored in the maintained portions of the registry. Even if the group policy is changed or removed, the user preference will still persist in the registry. Mention how many types of queries DNS does. The types of queries DNS does are iterative query, recursive query. Explain what is the primary function of the domain controller. Primary function of the domain controller is to validate users to the networks. It also provides a catalog of Active Directory objects. What information is required when TCP/IP is configured on Windows Server? To configure a TCP/IP client for an IPv4 client, you have to provide the IP address and the subnet mask. Explain what does it mean caching-only server in terms of DNS. The caching-only DNS server provides information related to queries based on the data it contains in its DNS caching. Explain what is the way to configure the DHCP server such that it allocates the same IP address to certain devices each time the address is removed. To configure the DHCP server, you can create a reservation for the device. To create a reservation, you must know the MAC hardware address of the device. To determine the MAC address for a network device, you can use the ipconfig or nbstat command line utilities.